Shalom, brother and sister truth seekers. It occurred to me that I should probably make this video that actually walks through at least some of the, uh, I guess, the solid witnesses that we saw in the United States this year for sundials. There was a little bit of confusion or just over the change that occurred from the 19th to the 20th, and I still see a lot of people asking questions, and I guess I did put out the summary video, and I kind of said here's the folder on Dropbox that has all the data, and you can check the link in the description below this video to find this folder. But that uh, I realize people just still have questions, and it would be better for me to walk through at least some of those major witnesses so people can see and understand, because maybe some people aren't the most experienced at looking at the data. So in addition, I did have a 3 hour call with the Covenant Calendar Club this past weekend where we did walk through all of this data, and I wasn't sure if they were going to post that video or not, but I haven't seen it, so again, I just want to at least walk through some of the major witnesses in the United States as I see questions about it. And yeah. So the way this works, and you can find this spreadsheet on the shared Dropbox folder as well. I think it's just it's a couple folders back. I think when you open the main folder, it comes up to like luminary data, but it's right in there in the main folder. But the way this works is the the data sets that I thought were really solid because of the amount of hours they collected and the methods they used to confirm it. I tagged with I highlighted solid green here. So for the United States, it pretty much, I guess there are a few all the way up here, but I'll talk through these ones, I guess, and if you want to, I may take a look at them because the close calls are the ones that, yeah. uh, okay, yeah, I remember this one. I wanted to make that one a green as well. I may talk through some of these, but definitely just want to hit the reliable, the solid witnesses, and maybe talk about some of those little ones in between. And there was the one outlier that we're having questions about that we can look at as well. And I encourage you to check out Remnant of Light YouTube channel. Email them if you have any questions about their data. But other than that, like they were the major outlier because of their experience. There was another data set, I think, from Kansas that was kind of a major outlier just because of the amount of data they collected. But we can take a look at that. I think there may have been something going on with the Nomen. So anyway, we're just going to start with the U.S., I guess. And on the East Coast, we had Jess, and I am just going to go ahead and open her data. So I had a video on the 19th where I was looking at her data, and it was hard to tell. And I think she is using a ball Nomen for that data. So we're going to look at the 20th because the 19th was hard to discern, but the 20th looked like she was seeing that post-equinox curve. We'll just take a quick look here. 8 hours of data, so it's right on the bubble. We see people with 8 hours of data who are getting the straight line in multiple days. So, but anyway, let's see if we can zoom in on one of these here. So you can just see north is this way, and these points you can just see that are coming off the line towards north. So that is, they're not on the line; they're bowing out, and that's the two patterns we're looking for is a smiley face under north, so north being up here, or a bow under north. And so that one is close, but it definitely looks like the majority of those points are off the line to the side. But with this type of ball gnomon, this is just not something I do believe we're going to try and use a pencil. Most of the Covenant Calendar Club has decided to use a sharp pencil next time. That just seems to be the best shape, better than a screw, better than a nail, just a sharp tip pencil. Because these ball gnomons, they just have the potential to, the sun can be casting its shadow off a different surface of this ball at different times of day, like maybe the top in the morning and the evening, but for the midday marks, it's probably the shadow off the side of the ball. And just when you've got a gnome that is changing locations, it can do funny things to the data. So that's why I didn't. I guess a couple of reasons why I didn't flag this one in solid green was because it was only 8 hours, and the ball gnomon. But a lot was learned, and yeah, it's just it was a good experience. I thank them for collecting data. I just heard from this individual, I think. Oh, actually, something's not right. Did I just go through all that? There was actually one in New Jersey I meant to mention. They're the ones that I just heard from today. And they said they thought they were seeing the straight line on the 19th. I actually didn't confirm for them what time their first mark of the day and last mark of the day was. But he had an armillary too that he thought was giving him a reading on the 19th. It was kind of hard to to see his data very clearly. Where is he? New Jersey, New Jersey. There is New Jersey. We'll just take a quick look. So he had the 18th. Oh, and then he had a video. And then yeah. So you can check this out, but I mean, like the picture was kind of small and I couldn't quite make it out. I just see a point there, see a point there. I can't quite make it out. So again, just another. I didn't. It's interesting to consider. It seems to be in harmony with the majority of the solid witnesses. If anyone wants to dig deeper, I encourage you to reach out to any of these people if you have questions about their data. But now getting to, I guess, the first solid witness, 10 hours of data, sharp tip gnomon, and they saw the post-equinox curve on the 20th. So we'll look for that one in Georgia real quick. Georgia. We had a few in Georgia. CB. And okay. March 19th. Oh, I'm in the wrong dates. This was her March 19th data. And it was kind of hard to. Kind of tricky. I don't know what time her first and last marks of the day were. All these points here. Well, this is, let me find the one from the 20th because I'm pretty sure that's the one where things are a little more clear. So Georgia, CB. Okay, so yeah, she was clearly seeing points coming off the line in this data set. So sometimes, yeah, I mean, things can be really close. Okay, yeah, so her other data set I think was showing a straight line, but this one you can see they're right on her straight edge there, but near the end of the day, these points are coming off the line here. This one. So, again, the hook. So if her gnomon is here, pretty sure north was, yeah, north is up here. So that bow like if they're coming off the line this way, they're arcing down this way. So that's a bow under north, which is what we're looking for. And again, 10 hours of data, but that's definitely starting to curve down at the bottom. Let's see. There were a couple others in Georgia. One armillary reading. I can't say much about the armillaries. I'm not the expert on those, but they thought they were seeing a 19th reading for the Equinox. This was a really cool data set from Nick in Georgia. He had like a time-lapse camera set up taking pictures. Unfortunately, it didn't seem 100% conclusive this year. Let's see. I did take a bunch of screen captures and I was looking at it. Oh, of course, I'll grab the most complicated one first. But I was really trying to see what was going on here. He's got a picture taken like every hour or something, and then he's got a software to kind of, I guess, remove the contrast or something. But as you can see, some of these spots are missing, and that's when he had clouds during the day. Um, but I think the example I'm trying to look at, I think, was the 21st. Like, this is really cool, but unfortunately, well, maybe it was yeah, it was the 18th. That's why I did the 18th twice, because in theory, well, we should be seeing. So if the shadow's being cast down here, that means north is up here for him. So we should be seeing a smiley face in this data set for the 18th, and I see some of these points are protruding out. So that unfortunately doesn't make sense. I don't know. The one thing I would say, I know this is just a work in progress, and this is awesome, and I know he's going to be working to try and do it better next year. I know there was something about a fisheye lens. I think he overcame that, but hopefully that's not distorting this. The other thing I would say, he had the picture set on a timer, but if he had a way to control the picture, so like through an app or something, and he could tell it to snap a picture when he knew there was 100% sun, that might be another thing that's messing up this data, because if the light is faint, these shadows can shrink and grow a little bit. So you really want to try and make sure you got 100% sunlight for the pictures you take. But that was very interesting. We'll be keeping an eye on that for next year. So my data in West Virginia this year, I flagged it because, I mean, you really don't get more confidence than if you like do it yourself. Like, looking at other people's data, you have to look at the metrics. But I mean, yeah, this was 10 hours of data. I did it on two different boards, and this actually was not what I was expecting. I wasn't sure when the leap year was going to happen, whether it was going to be 366 days or 365 days between my equinoxes this year. So when I went out to collect this data at the end of the day, when I pulled my line and I saw this on one of my boards, the flipped curve, I was like, oh no, here we go again. I've messed something up. But I did it on two different boards, and I got the same thing on both boards. Uh, so this is just to show you real quick. This the end mark for the 20th. My first mark was around 7:50 something a.m. And those are the midday marks. There's N. You can see they're above the line. North is this way, so they're bowing under north. Two of my midday marks, and then my last mark of the day was 7 p.m. So about 11 hours of data for that data set. So I mean that was pretty solid. And then this, I guess, is just the midday shot of the other sundial board showing the midday points above the line again. I have a video of both of these days on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out and see for sure how things were lining up with that first and last point of the day. I guess I only took one screen capture of this, but you can check those videos out on my YouTube channel if you would like. So that was pretty solid. it seemed. And the next solid one was 11 hours of data. Again, coming from Florida. And let's take a look at that on the 19th. Oh, was that the 19th? 19. Oh, wait, no. Post Equinox curve confirmed on the 20th. So let's go to the 20th. I'm in the 20th, Florida. So, RT, I think it was 11 hours of data post Equinox curve. Yeah, this was pretty clear. And like, I think what I wanted to say at the beginning of the video was, I tried to put out end of the day summary videos as we were collecting this data for each day. But the problem is, I'm just trying to keep people posted as fast as possible. But the problem is not everybody gets their data in that same day. So a lot of these significant witnesses came in later after the day had passed. And so that's another reason why I'm making this video, because I realized a lot of these weren't mentioned in the daily summary videos that I was doing, but because they came in later, and we covered these in that 3 hour long Covenant Calendar Club meeting, but yeah, I just figured I'd better do it again just to make sure everybody can see this. So first morning point, you can just see the line. They didn't doesn't I don't think they ran it from the first point to the last point of the day. Like, you can see this last point here is below the line. So if they would have taken this line down and connected it to that last point, it would have made these pop even more. But again, you're just clearly seeing this bow under north here. So let's see again here. So 11 hours of data. This was a Covenant Calendar Club member oh yeah, this was incredible. He's an overachiever. He used 3 different boards and a taller sundial gnomon in his yard, and all 4 of these were showing the post-equinox curve on the 20th. So let's take a look at his data on the 20th. That was Tennessee. Is that Tennessee? Tennessee. Okay, Tennessee. I do apologize. It has been a long day and a long week. My brain is a little tired, but I wanted to try and do this for whatever it's worth, in case anyone was still having any last minute doubts about or having any trouble. Maybe they missed some of these data sets because they came in later. I think I can't remember if this one came in late or not. But anyway, north is here, and the points are just clearly bowing at this point. Another smaller sundial, but yeah, you can see they're bowing. And here, keep visual of where this gnomon is. North is on, you can see north right there. North is on the opposite side of the board of that gnomon sticking up. So as we look to what he did in his yard, there's that little sundial gnomon, and north is over on this side. So north is over here, and here he's using this tall post in his yard, and he's got this string, and you can see his marks down here are to the north, bowing away from the line. So pretty good witness there. This was another excellent data set from 11 hours. She confirmed it with 2 different boards. This was Kim, a Covenant Calendar Club leader. And yeah, let's see what she did on the 20th from Michigan. 2 boards. This one was black, and the other one was green for the 20th. Yeah, these might be mixed up. But anyway, just a big spread of data, and you can tell these points are popping off the line. These midday points are popping off the line. North is over here. These are bowing towards north. And they had a lot of the Covenant Calendar Club members have a little data summary sheet like this that they actually list when the first and last marks of the day are, and a good number of them also wrote the timestamp or time of day on their board as well. A plus plus. Okay. So then we had another Covenant Calendar Club member in Mississippi. 3 different boards. The majority of the data points appear to be in the post-equinox curve position on the 20th. 9 hours of data is good. I mean, we definitely want to try and get 9 hours. I think is like the minimum that we want to be shooting for. We see people with 8 hours of data who are getting the straight line in multiple days. So it's just something to try and shoot for to help make it clear for everybody. So again, we're looking for north and north. Don't get confused. He's got 2 boards side by side here, but north is up this way. South is for this board here. But north for this board is up there, and you can see these points are bowing towards the north. Same with this one. I think there's just a different view. You can tell those points are bowing towards the north. And yeah, actually couldn't tell what was going on. Looks like he used putty to fill in some of his marks, but like I said, 3 different boards, and I can make out at least 2 of them that look like they're bowing towards the north there. Manna from Heaven in Mississippi, they had 8 hours of data, and 1 point appeared to be in the post-equinox curve position on the 20th. I don't want to hang my hat on a data set that's only 8 hours. We shouldn't, but I mean it for whatever it's worth. You know, I did realize I should corollary to that. It's definitely seems that people can see straight lines for multiple days around an equinox event. But if with those shorter data sets, like 8 to 7 hours, but if someone is actually able to discern the curve with that, I mean, there's quite a difference between the smiley face and the bowing curve, and so I mean that's potentially something to consider. But if someone only had 7 to 8 hours of data and they're like, "Yep, it looks straight," um, on the I can't hang my hat on that, unfortunately, because it's very possible you could see that. But if someone has actually seen a curve with 7 to 8 hours, I think that's potentially more credible, something to consider. But anyway, you can see at least one of these marks looks like it's above the line there, but too close to really call this one, only being 8 hours of data. But that is what we would that's what we would expect. The gnome in here, the sun's down here, so north would be up here, and we'd expect to see points up above the line. But yeah, unfortunately, with 8 hours, it's just not so clear. This one is interesting. I don't know why I didn't flag that one. 10 hours of data. Louisiana? Why should that not be green? Let's take a look. I might have left it not green just because the previous day was confusing, maybe? The 19th? This day of the straight line, that might have been one of those ones where I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, that's pre-equinox curve. But there might have been, let's just look to see Louisiana. 10 hours of data, post-equinox curve. So, I mean, this was one of the ones where there was just better confirmation on the next day, I guess. So, what's going on here? This point, I don't know what she's pulling out to here to the right, but you can see these points are off the line down here. So if this line was actually down on that point, it looks like she's got that one pretty good, but if this was actually pulled down to this point, then pretty much all of these would be above the line. And north is up here, so that looks like the post-equinox curve. They're not all on that line. Like some people weren't looked like they weren't sure what to do with their line, and I think this is maybe one of the first times for data collection for this individual. But what we want to make sure we do is pull our line from that first point of the day to the last point of the day, and then we can see these midday points pop on and off the line. So Texas. This was this was another tricky one. Like the first assessment of this data that came in was it looked like the 19th was pre-equinox curve and maybe the 20th was straight, but then on closer inspection, the person who collected this data thought the 19th looked straight and the 20th had that flipped curve. I actually haven't had a chance to look terribly close at this. So let's just take a quick look, see what we can see. So, and sometimes there are these notes in this folder that say the first point was at 10 a.m. And the last point was at 6 a.m. So that's like 8 hours, 45 minutes. And the 19th looks straight, and the 20th has a jump. Okay, so that must be the updated note. But that's not the biggest stretch of data. Okay, yeah, 8.75 hours of data. So it's better than 8, but it's really close. It's just hard to tell with shorter data sets like that. But when I actually don't know what the color markers are, which one was which, that's definitely hard to tell. But if you have any questions, you can definitely feel free to reach out to this individual. Like that looks like a slight curve if I'm looking at that right. If anyone wants to dig into that a little deeper, but it was this truth seeker's opinion that they were seeing they changed their mind about their data, and they thought they were seeing that curve and the straight line. So here's another armillary reading from Kansas. I can't say much about that, but they were thinking they saw it on the 19th. Here is that other data set from Kansas, and it was a good spread of data, 10.5 hours of data. There was some question about what the gnomon was. Appeared to have slight pre-equinox curve, but there are points above and below the line, S curve, question mark, and then on the 20th, still appeared to have a pre-equinox curve, inconclusive. So let's take a quick look at Kansas. Oh, so I'm going to have to jump to two different folders here, I guess. Let's look at the 19th first. 19th, Kansas. Other, I think is what it was. 10.5 hours of data. I think I must have. Oh, okay, yeah, they sent a picture of the nail. Because the thing you notice when you look at both of these data sets is something weird seems to happen right around midday. Like, typically what you should be expecting to see is a smooth curve. Like if it's straight. Sorry, my recording software cuts me off every 30 minutes. It's free though. All right, no, so I was saying you would expect to see a smooth curve. Uh, and it just seems like something weird is going on here at solar noon, and almost the kind of thing you would see if the sun is bouncing off a different part of the gnomon. Like, so we did ask for a picture of the gnomon, and it looks like she confirmed that this is the north face of the gnomon, this edge of the nail. So I don't know if by the time the sun hit that edge of the nail, it was the tip was getting obscured by the by this edge hanging out here. So again, one of the things we were learning from this time around was it's really important to make sure we have a single point gnomon. And so like something like a pencil that has a smooth, it's smooth on all sides, and it's not like a fluctuation here or something that could potentially block the shadow, the tip of that shadow from getting down. It was just an interest. We're just not exactly sure, but I mean, looking at this data set, I see points above the line, I see points below the line, and it with points above or below the line, I mean, it seems like it could either be saying it's a straight line if you take the average, or there's something strange going on here, and you can see that on both days. So if we go to the 20th, you can see this dip in the 20th as well. Okay, Kansas 20th. All right, so here it is, and you can see again there's like this pronounced dip here, and if this is the 20th, we would certainly expect by the 20th to either see a straight line or a post-equinox curve. And if it was a post-equinox curve, it would be bowing towards the north. So these points should be up here. They should either be on the straight line or they should be above. And because they're not either of those, it seems there must be something going on. I don't know what. Maybe with the gnomon, maybe there was a depression in the recording surface that caused this to dip. But it's unfortunately it's just it's in I can't be conclusive about it. But feel free to reach out. I mean, if you have questions for this truth seeker, we can potentially network with each other to try and get specific questions answered. So, whoops. All right. So now we're getting into a few solid witnesses out here in Montana. These were all good. Oh wait, yeah. This was the one, a pencil. This is what's like, this gentleman was able to get such an early morning point. And let me pull up his data from what was it, the 20th or the 19th? I think it was the 19th. And he was seeing a post-equinox curve on the 20th. I think I got a shortcut in there, so I'm just going to open the 20th and we can see both. So here's the 19th. 10 and a half hours of data. And it just looks pretty straight to me. This is the data set that started it all for me. Like we had the daily report for the 19th, and it seemed like people might have still been seeing the pre-equinox curve, and that's the way that video kind of sounded. And then I woke up to this. Somebody sent me this, and it was like, oh boy, that looks pretty straight, and that's the 19th. And then later on the 20th. Just a lot more people confirming the post-equinox curve, and a few more witnesses coming in with straight lines for the 19th. And yeah, it just definitely seemed like, unfortunately, that end of the day summary video I did for the 19th, it just didn't turn out that way. Like the next day, people who thought they were seeing the that pre-equinox curve were seeing the post-equinox curve on the 20th. So things flipped. It took an unexpected turn. And I noticed it looks like the video I put out for the 19th is the one with the most views. So I feel really bad about that. Like I feel like that is might be what's causing a lot of confusion in people out there. Maybe they watched just the 19th and didn't see the 20th or something. But yeah, this was the data set that started kind of the realization that something else might be going on. He also did an armillary, so he took like pictures on the 19th. He thought it looked above the line. On the 20th, he thought it looked right on the 18th. Oh no, all right, I said that wrong. 18th was above the line. I'm not an expert on armillary, but it's there. And he thought he was seeing the equinox reading on the 19th. But here is just a picture again of his gnomon. This is awesome. This is all we need right here. It just has such a nice taper to it. Like with a screw, I found like the evening and morning light shining around the threads of the screws like just caused some weird distortions at the tip of the shadow. But this thing it's perfect. It's nice and crisp. And he's even got like a point at 6:30 a.m., but you can still see it. That's where it is. I was noticing with the screw, like my screw had like two different tips in the early morning shadows, so I had to wait for a later point when it was more clear. I know someone else had to do that too. So this was definitely this was a winner right here. Pencil Gnomon. I'm gonna hopefully I recommend it. Recommend everybody do that one. So then this was his data for the 20th, and he believed he was seeing that post-equinox curve. I didn't get a picture of the whole thing, but his data set was starting to diverge from the straight line he pulled by the afternoon. Again, if you have any specific questions, we can definitely dig to find more information or put you in touch with these people so you can see whatever we're missing here. Another good one, 10 plus hours of data from Montana. Sharp Gnomon saw the straight line on the 19th and a flipped curve on the 20th. So let's take a quick look. Montana. I think I'm just going to look at the flipped curve. Oh yeah, this is a good folder here. We'll just stay in this folder. So let's see here. Yeah, it's just you can see. So north is out to the actually I think it must be over here. Yeah, because he is north of the equator, so the sun is down this way, and it's casting a shadow on this gnomon down this way, and so north is up here, equator south, north up here, and you can see these points are bowing towards the north. They're coming off of his line, and if you look at his data from the 19th, they're just all straight. So that was a good witness. The next, there was another witness here in Montana that also got 10 hours of data, and oh, I didn't see this one. Oh, this one might have come in at the last minute, and this one might need to be flagged in green as well if it's what I'm thinking. At first I had only heard about the 7.5 hours of data, but then a later report came in. She had a different board or something, and she got 10 hours of data, and she thought it was straight. Need updated picture. Let's take a look. The 19th. Oh, this was a good folder. I'll leave that folder. We'll come back. Alright, 19th. Montana. Let's in. This is what I was seeing. No, this can't be the one. Something's wrong. I know somebody was really excited about seeing more data, but this one looks like one of the shorter data sets. This is only 7.5 hours. I wonder if I put the updated photo in the wrong folder. Let's check the 20th real quick just in case. No, I didn't see that in the 20th. Well, I apologize. This seems to have gone missing. Montana. I know I saw it though. Maybe we'll see it again. No, maybe that other one was in Oregon. The one I'm thinking of was in Oregon, maybe. 2 witnesses in Oregon. No, I think this was it. I'm just misplacing it, unfortunately. Maybe, let me check one more thing. Did I put it in its own folder? Montana. Shucks. No, I'm not seeing it. But yeah, this note looks very familiar. Like the first note was 7.5 hours of data inconclusive, but then there was a second setup, 10 hours, and it did look straight, but I can't find it, unfortunately. If I do find it, I will get it uploaded, or actually, I will track it down anyway. But yeah, this shorter data set is unfortunately not. That's not something we can hang our hat on. Where did my 20th data go? Alright, Montana. See, she's not in here. Or whoever they were, unfortunately. Oh, I hate that. Alright, anyway, let's move on. So I was gonna say, there was, I'm saying need updated picture. I'm pretty sure it came in. Maybe I just forgot to drop it in the folder. This was an excellent witness. 10.5 hours of data. Like this was, if you want to see 3 days of the shadow pattern progression, they did an excellent job. They did just phenomenal. Freezer door! Exclamation mark. So they got 3 days of. So the number 5 is the 18th, number 6 is the 19th, and 7 is the 20th. And I'm just gonna. Oh right, okay. Why do I start things backwards? So they took pictures of this pencil on the midday mark of the day. So for the 18th, and north is up here. So on the 18th, it was below the line. And you just to give you a peek of how they were doing this. They did a really good job with their data. So there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, and they were even recording I think a week before that. Like just phenomenal job. The 19th it was right on the line, and then the 20th they were below the line, which is the bow towards north. This is one of the clearest data sets I've seen. They actually should win an award for 3 days of back-to-back data to confirm all 3 shadow patterns. So then there was another brother in Montana who, this was one of the witnesses on the 19th that caused me to think the people were still seeing pre-equinox curves. But what we discovered, unfortunately, was there was something going on with his gnomon, and I think he filed it down so it was flatter on top, and it was kind of doing the same thing as I mentioned with the ball gnomon, where it's throwing the points around in unexpected places. And like his midday marks, I think he was just seeing curves like on the 20th. he was seeing a post-equinox, a pre-equinox curve still. Yeah, so north is uh, north is up here. So north is over here, and on the 20th he's still seeing this smiley face, but that just can't be. But if you look real close, he like filed down the tip of his gnomon, because I think he was having trouble with those really early morning points. But unfortunately, and I guess there was some kind of slag on it or something, but he wasn't 100% confident about this data set, and it just with showing that pre-equinox curve on the 20th, that doesn't really make any sense. But I wanted to say, I mean, it's still an important lesson to learn, and definitely one of the highlights of all this that we've learned is we need to make sure we have a sharp tip gnomon, and we shouldn't sacrifice the sharpness of that tip in order to get like really 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 early morning points and really really late. Like we like this, I think he got like 11 hours of data, which is phenomenal. But if you're having trouble getting those early morning points, then just wait. 10 hours of data is perfectly fine. Even 9 hours of data, you should be pretty good. But yeah, a good thing to keep in mind is to let's make sure we have that tip as sharp as possible. So this is again remnant of light, and the major outlier, I say, because they are very experienced and they have 10 hours and 15 minutes of data. They have the sharp tip gnomon, and it just doesn't. I just don't really know what to say. I'm not sure why they're getting different results, and it's possible. I'm not saying 100% that they're wrong. It's possible the majority isn't always right. All these other witnesses that we seem to have, but I mean, it does seem like there's a lot of good evidence to keep the trend of people seeing the straight line on the 19th all the way to the west coast here. We've just got a couple more we got to go over. Um, but yeah, I recommend you reach out to them if you have any questions or doubts, but we can look at their data real quick. Um, the one thing I did notice, so they thought the straight line was going to happen on the 20th, and so I like just stared at their videos just trying to find an answer to this, and I did notice, let's see if I can pull this up. So I noticed their early morning points were on the line, and their late evening points were also on the line, but then all of a sudden their midday points were off. So I don't know. I did. It would seem that this is saying the straight line didn't happen on the 20th, but yeah, it's just it's hard to say for certain. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. Their YouTube channel is Remnant of Light, and they got their email right there. So, aside from that, I guess there's not really anything to see for Tim, Covenant Calendar Club leader in Canada, but he did see the pre-equinox curve on the 18th, and he got half a day of data on the 19th, and I guess he was watching the progression of his shadow, and he had estimated that by the amount it moved every day, he was going to get the straight line on the 19th, but then he got clouded out, so he couldn't confirm for sure. Danon in California, unfortunately, only had 18 hours of data, and or sorry, 8 hours of data. Um, and this is just an example of someone who is using a ball, and I think we're going to go away from these balls, but like he was seeing a let's look real quick on the 18th. He was seeing a post equinox curve on the 18th, which is just not really possible. But with that ball gnomon, when you're your gnomon tip is changing surfaces and even elevation around that ball. Weird things can happen. So it's just a good learning experience. There were a couple people who exposed this for us to consider, but just to show you what it looks like. So north is up in this picture, and so I mean this is from the 18th, and here's his red line being pulled, and these points are above that line. Uh, you, so they're bowing under north. You just would never expect to see that on the 18th. So I would think it has something to do with that ball gnomon, and I think there's a consensus that we should definitely use something like a pencil or something that has a single tip on it. But this was good experience, and I mean helpful for us to all learn from. And let's see. Then we have a couple more solid witnesses out west. Oh, this is the one. I think this is the one in Tri-Cities. So I don't know what was going on with this one here. I'm just going to write where was that one? Yeah, it was in Montana. If whoever collected this data can speak, oops, I don't want to mess that up, can speak to this. I'm going to put a bunch of question marks there, but maybe someone can confirm. But yeah, okay, now I remember the Tri-Cities. I think that's the other solid witness that came in. So anyway, these are in Oregon and Washington now. 10 hours and 15 minutes of data. They did it with a ball pin gnomon, and we're going to ignore that data because it was doing funky things too. Pretty much the same thing we just looked at with Danon. But they used a taller dart gnomon as well, which appeared to be pretty much perfectly straight for the 19th with 10 hours and 15 minutes of data. So let's take a look at that. Oregon. So pull up a good picture here. And there's all kinds of information. I think, yeah, they confirm like the first one of the day and the last point of the day in a pretty good summary. But if we just look, you can, yeah, if you look at this small gnomon, that was just showing the wrong curve. But this tall gnomon is, you gotta look closely, but the string, there are two lines you see, but the string is the darker one, and you can see the sun is back here. It's casting a shadow of the string to the right, so ignore that second line to the right. We're looking at the dark line on the left, and that is like just pretty much perfectly touching that midday pin. So I mean that's just a nice tall gnomon, and it's 10 hours and 15 minutes of data. It just seemed to be a pretty solid data set. For Eugene, unfortunately, 7 hours and 15 minutes of data just isn't quite conclusive. I'm not sure what he thought he was seeing. We could take a quick peek. Do I have any notes in here? He said he thought it looked straight on the 19th. But yeah, he's got a nice data set here, but unfortunately with a short spread of data, it's very likely you can see straight lines on multiple days around an equinox. So it's in harmony with what everyone else is saying, but it's just we can't really say for sure without more data in the early morning and late evening. So I think the last one, is it the last one? Are we almost there? Oh, and then there was Charlene up in Canada who was seeing the pre-equinox curve on the 18th. Oh, and then there was Hawaii. Oh, we gotta do Hawaii too, don't we? Okay, well let's do the Tri-Cities. This was the one, 10 hours of data. Sharp tip gnomon. I think it came in at the end of the day, so let's take a look. What is that? Sharp tip gnomon, straight line on the 19th. Straight line on the 19th. Are we on the 19th? 19th. Oh, right. I was confused because these two pictures were the first ones that came in, and then this picture came in, and I thought that was just like beautifying those two other pictures and putting in a nice summary table. I didn't notice this was a completely different data set she had collected. Um, but yeah, she was thinking that was looking pretty straight. It is a kind of a fat line there, but yeah, 10 hours of data. It's uh, it's looking to be it's looking pretty straight. So, ah, Hawaii. Let's look to see what do we got here. 8 hours and 45 minutes of data. So that's not the best, but yeah, it's considerable. And then the 20th, only 7.5 hours of data, but they thought they were seeing the slight curve. So again, I think if someone's actually seeing a slight curve, that is potentially something to consider, even if it is a smaller spread of data. If they're able to discern the curves, like those are, they're going to be dynamically different from each other. So if you can see them, then even with less data, I think that's potentially something to consider. Let's just go ahead and since we're here in the 19th, Hawaii. Let's take a look. 19th seems straighter. So there's the first morning point. Guessing that must be the point right there where my thumb's hitting. And then one of these points must be the 19th. I'm not sure which one is the 19th. This one's yeah, tough call. Let's look at her data from the 20th. That must be why I didn't flag this one in total green. But there was a pretty good witness that followed her in Australia. If I'm let's see, with a string. Now we're looking at the 20th. So this says 20th. There's a mark. Ooh. 20th. Again, this is only 7 hours. But yeah, that's coming off quite substantially off the line. So it seems to be in harmony with the trend that we're seeing. All these are pretty looking like they're hooking pretty good. So I mean that's essentially, I guess maybe it's worth mentioning the last one in Australia, um, just to help understand how things ended in the United States. But this was a solid witness. 10 hours of data, sharp tip Neumann. He saw the pre-Equinox curve. Oh, that's a mistake. Yeah, I haven't fixed this, or maybe it's not a mistake. Yeah, he saw the straight line on the 20th. But remember, the sun crossed over the man-made international date line at this point, so he is he's seeing it on the same 24-hour cycle that these people are seeing it on the 19th, but it's just the Gregorian date flipped for him. So we'll take a look at his data set real quick for the 20th, and we'll call this a wrap. He thought it was straight. And again, 10 plus hours of data, or close to 10. It just looks pretty straight. So that is just a closer look at the data that came in mainly for America. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Email me at avoiceoftruthandlove@gmail.com, or comment on the video, and have